rewatch that one. Notes that I'm going to write now is going to be uploaded for you as well, so you can have access to those as well. Okay, let's start. So basically, and I'm talking about the math part. I'm not really into the English, but for the math part, it's split into two sections. There's a section with the calculator, and there's a section without the calculator. So the no calculator section comes first, and then there's another section with the calculator that comes after. The section without the calculator has a total of 20 MCQ. All of those 20 multiple choices are, they always start from easy and they end up hard, but that doesn't mean إنه لازم يكون آخر سؤال صعب. It just means that generally the questions tends to go harder. But you could find easier questions somewhere in the middle. For the part with the calculator, you have a total of 38 MCQs as well. So that's a total complete of 58 questions. You need to understand that the part without the calculator, they're not trying to test your calculation skills. They just want to know whether you are capable of doing the calculations without the calculator or not. So they're not going to get you 0.123 multiplied by 17,000. It's not like that. But they may get you things like 0.5 multiplied by 10, which means it's half the 10, or half multiplied by 24. So it's just half the 24, which in this case is 12. So they mainly questions that just checks your understanding of what a fraction means, what a decimal means, but it's not hard, complicated things to calculate. We'll also learn how to do all of the calculations without the calculator. Lots of the questions will be asking you about things like, what does this number represent? So you're not going to be solving something in some questions. I mean, some questions you won't find a single step. You're just basically picking. Other questions, and most or the majority of the questions, you'll have to go through some steps, and then after you do your own steps, you check and find where is the answer that you found. Is it A or B or C or D? طيب. Regarding the timings, now the first 20 questions are supposed to be done in 25 minutes. And the next 38 questions are supposed to be done in 55 minutes. So what does that mean? Does it mean every question has basically a minute? No, it doesn't work this way. Or a minute or a few seconds? No. Because some questions will be done in literally 3 seconds or less than 10 seconds. So the time of that time could be allocated for other questions. So some questions you'll take literally 3 seconds to solve. Other questions may take a couple of minutes. It's fine because you've saved that time in different cases before. That's basically it for the structure of the test. Now we'll go into the details of the math. But do you have any question regarding those kinds of things? And Sarah, we're good, ya Amar? Everything is fine? Perfect. Okay. Right. Now we'll start now to discuss the basic or the first things in math that make sense, which is basically, as I said, the translation. So we're trying to translate from words to mathematical expressions, to math. And that's important because most of the people have issues with the word problems. They don't like word problems. So if you are capable of translating words to math, it becomes no longer an issue. It's just mathematical equations. So there are lots of words that resembles the same operation. There are operations in math, and by the operations I mean the 4 basic operations, which are the addition, the subtraction, the multiplication, and the division. Those are the main ones that we care for. Also, the equal sign is considered an operation. There are lots of words that represents the addition. What are those words? For example, if they told you 3 more than a number. So if there's a number that I don't know, we usually use X to represent that number. Anything we don't know, we use a variable to represent it. So when I say 3 more than a number, you'll have to translate this to a number, yani X, I don't know that number. And 3 more than x means 3x plus 3. So 3 more than something means that thing, and then you add to it 3. Does this make sense? So if I say a number increased by 2, that also means addition. A number increased by 2 would represent a number that I don't know, x, increased by 2, which means I'll add 2. I can also use the term sum. I can say the sum of x and y, and that would be translated right away to x plus y. So sum means plus, increased by means plus, more than means plus. All of those represent the plus sign. Any questions? Some of them would represent, so what represents the minus then? If I, and focus away on this one, I'm sorry. لا, say that, it's a good example. Say that again. Less than. So if I say for less than a number, how do I write this down? How do I translate this? Yes, exactly. It's not 4 minus x. It goes with the x first, a number first, and then less than that number before. So I'll subtract from the number 4. On the other hand, I could say a number decreased by 4 or decreased by 2. And in this case, we start with the number first and then decrease 2. So it should make sense. It's not things we memorize, and that's right. It's not like we start with the first one and then the second one. It's not like that. It should make sense. If I say 4 less than a number, then the number goes first and then minus that 4. If I say a number decreased by 2, then the number goes first and then remove from that number 2. Makes sense? So this is one of the confusions that they play around and they try to trick you with a lot. What else is important? Let's say it told you the word difference. So difference between A and B. And that would be written as A first and then minus B. So the word difference for us represents minus. كلمة difference معناها minus. Whenever you see it, you think of minus. Are we good? There are a few types also that or a few questions that represent subtraction. So those are sentences, those are just facts kind of thing. But on the other hand, if I asked how much more or how much bigger than, or how much less than, they all means, and I'm going to subtract two things minus each other. So if I said how many more years do I have more than you do, for example, how much more girls are there than boys? So you start with the girls minus the boys. So whatever is before the than minus whatever is after the than. Okay? What does the minus, the times then represent? Or what are the words that represents times? The word product is a very important word that represents multiplication. The word double means a very specific type of multiplication. 2 multiplied by anything. So double something, it's 2 multiplied by that thing. Triple something is 3 multiplied by that thing. I can also say third a number. Third a number means 1 over 3 times the number. I can also say fifth a number. So that means it's 1 over 5 times the x. I can also say 3/4 a number, which would be 3 over 4 of x. Does those make sense? Now, division finally. The division has a very important word that you need to remember, the word quotient. Quotient represents division. So if I say the quotient of x and y, then we put x first over the y. Any questions? Right. Here's what we're going to do now. I'm going to be sending you now a link for a Google form. It's I'll show you how it looks like now. Just give me 1 second. So come on. So this is what the form would look like. You'll see a question, and then here are the choices, and you are going to solve this or do the steps on a piece of paper outside in your notebook. Always keep do steps. It's very important to try and write notes down. And whatever you decide the answer will be, you're going to select that answer here. So let's say you decided the answer is B. And you're going to do the same for each of those 6 questions. Once you're done with all of those, you'll submit, and I'll be able to see your results right away, and we can keep your information for later on, so we can compare if there's a comparison. We want to know if you did some progress or not, and so on. Usually, I use, just for you to know, usually I use Google Classroom. So once we're set خلاص and we agreed that you're going to continue and everything, I'll create a Google Classroom for you, just like this one. And you'll see in every day I'll create an assignment, and in that assignment I'll put the link for the meeting, which is the one that I sent you on WhatsApp. I'll also put the forms that we're going to solve. Once the class is over, I upload the notes that we did, and I upload the recorded class. So just to show you an example, this is what the other classes looks like after it's done. So here's the meeting link. Here are the forms that we solved, and then this is the exit ticket for the day. This is a class that we're going to start with the other group. Let's say this one is already done. So you'll see at the end, PDF files, those are the ones that have the explanation and the notes that we did in class. برضو if you scroll برضو down في أي test, you should be able to find the video recording of the class. So this is just the structure of how things go. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you this link in the chat on Google Meet itself. So you should be able to find a link, an icon for the chat. And you should be able to see the link that I just sent now. Just for today, we're going through this as links and so on, but later on you'll see everything in one place. Google Classroom will have everything. I'll also, just one more thing, I'm sorry, I just want to set you up. I'll also give you access to the website, ahmedksabri.com, and in the students portal page, you will be able to find everything related to math in school on the left side, and everything related to math SET and any standardized test, ACT, and so on the right side. You see? So again, these are the left side. These are the ones that has to do with school. These are the ones that has to do with the SET. If you clicked on SET, for example, you should be able to see the digital SET, all like samples of the tests. All of those are real tests. You could be able also to see notes for specific titles and topics. But sorry to disturb you. I took too much time. I just wanted you to get in. For now, because we're solving a total of 6 questions, I'll give you a total of 7 minutes to solve the first 6 questions. This doesn't mean that you have to get everything done within the 7 minutes. It's just to give us some sort of a structure of how we would like to finish the question. You can take more time when we're doing this. The most important thing is you exert your utmost effort trying to find the answer in every one of the questions. 7 minutes, start it now. So we're starting with one. عندي which of the following expressions is equivalent to this? Now, أي رقم that is multiplied by the bracket, I have to distribute that number on everything in the bracket. So 2/3 times a squared, and that's 2/3 a squared. and then minus 2 over 3a, and then 2 over 3 times negative 3 on the calculator, that's negative 2. 1 over 3 times this will become 1 over 3a squared, and then 1 over 3 times 2, that's 2 over 3a. 1 over 3 times 6, that's just positive 2. You'll see that there's positive 2 and negative 2. Those are like terms. They'll cross each other. There's this negative 2 over 3 and positive 2 over 3. One positive and one negative, they cross each other. And then there's the 2 over 3 plus 1 over 3a squared. On a calculator, we're going to add the coefficients بس. يعني 2 over 3 plus 1 over 3. It would give me 1. So it's 1a to the power of 2, which means it's just a to the power of 2. Does this make sense? Good. Now, if we're not allowed a calculator, let me explain how we multiply, for example, 2 over 3 multiplied by negative 3. So we multiplied by negative 3. Whenever we're multiplying a fraction by a number, this number gets to be multiplied by the numerator only, by the upper one only. So it becomes negative 6 over 3. So this 3 remains down, but the negative 3 is multiplied by the 2, which will become negative 6. Then negative 6 divided by 3, that's negative 2. This works on any question whatsoever. But generally, whenever we have a fraction multiplied by a number, if this number is the same as this one, they'll cross each other and there'll only remain the negative with the 2. So there'll only remain the negative 2. Does that make sense? Good. Now let's move to 2. Which of the following is equivalent? Again, I'm multiplying, so I'm distributing. That's 5.4x minus 10.8y. And then 2.7 times x, that's 2.7x. 2.7 times 3, that's negative 0.22, 2.1, 8.1. Yes, perfect. And then 1. Add like terms together, so I have the 5.4 minus the 2.7, which would get me 2.7 بالظبط x, and then the negative 10.8 with the negative 8.1, that's negative 18.9, I think. Well, did I calculate it wrong? So here's a mistake. The negative 2.7, when I multiplied by negative 3, it becomes positive. So it's positive. So it's actually negative 3.6, the difference. Why? When you look at the choices, it's D. ولا لا? What is 10.8? I'm sorry? طلع ب 2.7 أصلا. Okay, so then because both of them are multiplied by 2.7, I can say it's the same as B, because 2.7, when it's distributed, it would become 2.7x minus 2.7y. In other words, the 2.7 is common between these two terms. So I can write it outside as a common factor and open up a bracket and write everything else that's left. If this is the common, I'll write it outside and open a bracket and write the things that are left, which are the x minus 1. Does this make sense? Are we good? Sarah, حبيبتي, we good, صح? Mads, do you good, حبيبي? If there's anything يا جماعة at any time, a tiny confusion, حتى لو اللي هو it seems trivial, but it's important to ask. Now I'll distribute again. So half times 2, that's A. Half times 3, that's 3 over 2, B. And then half times 4, that's 2, C. Negative 3 over 2 times B, that's negative 3 over 2B. Negative 3 over 2 times 2, that's negative 3C. Like terms together, I'll have the positive 3 over 2 along with the negative 3 over 2. They both have B. They'll be crossed out. I have 2C with the negative 3C, and that will become A minus C, which will give me D as the correct choice. Moving further to number 4, but we were distributing, that's AB minus AC, and then minus AB plus, minus again BC, and then minus AC positive BC. like terms together. I have this negative with this positive, and they'll both BC, they'll cross each other. I have negative AC and negative AC, that's negative 2 AC. I also have AB with negative AB, these will cross each other, so I'm only left with this negative 2 AC. طبعا the trick here is about the signs mainly. You know, negative times negative is positive, and negative times positive is negative, and so on. If we work on 5, which of the following is not equivalent? So because it's not equivalent, I have to first simplify this as much as possible. I leave the 3 outside for the time being. I just distribute the negative 3 and the negative 5 for the time being. I leave the 6a. Negative 3 times 1, that's negative 3. Negative 3 times negative a, that's positive 3a. Negative 5 times a, that's negative 5a. I'm sorry, this is not here yet. Negative 5 times 1, that's negative 5. Close that bracket. Like terms together inside the bracket. So 6a plus 3a minus 5a, that's 4a. And then negative 3 minus 5, that's negative 8. The 3 should go in and gets to be multiplied. So that's 12a minus 24. When you look at the choices, a is the same. When you look at choice B, 24 times A will get me 24A, and 24 times negative half will get me negative 12. This is not equals to this, so B is the correct choice. Are we clear? If we work finally on a 6, again, we're looking for something that's not equivalent. The P will remain, but the negative 2 over 3 will be distributed. That's negative 4 over 3P. Negative 2 over 3 times negative 3, that's positive 2Q, and then negative 1 over 3 times P, negative 1 over 3P. Negative 1 over 3 times 4, that's negative 4 over 3Q. Add like terms together. 1 minus 4 over 3 minus 1 over 3. That's negative 2 over 3P. And then 2Q minus 4 over 3. That is times over 3, 6, 6 minus 4. That's 2 over 3, positive 2 over 3Q. Look at the choices. B. ايزي جدا صح؟ طيب اللي جايه دي we're basically going to translate كلام to mathematical expression فيها equal. يعني هنعمل an equation now, not just an expression. Those are called expressions لان ما فيهمش equal, you see, just something with x's and y's and plus and minus, no equals whatsoever. These are called expressions. If you check those now, 2.1, which I'll send you on in the chat. If you check those now, you'll see it's actually, and sometimes I'd like you to find an equation, sometimes I'd like you to find a number. Try them out, maybe you'll be able to do them, some you may not, and let's see how things go from there. So 2.1, writing equations, and we'll give 6 minutes for that one, starting now. Please بقى. Yalla, let's start. 18 more than the number n is 125. So 18 more than something means something plus 18. Then what? Then a number n. So it's n plus 18. Is means equal 125. What is the value of n? I'll move the 18 to the other side. I'll have 125 minus 18, and I'll get n equals to 107. This is the answer, 107. Now, number 2. 20 is. So 20 equals. Is يعني equal. 7 less than something. So something minus 7. Less than twice the number w, يعني 2w is supposed to be written here. You see the structure of what did I write before, which part, and so on. If I'd like to find the w, I'll move this. So I'll get 27 equals 2w, and then I'll move the 2. So w will be equals to 27 divided by 2, which means w is now equals to 13.5. You can write it as 13.5, or you can write it as 27/2. They're both supposed to be correct. Okay? 9 less than, so something minus 9, less than twice x, so that's 2x, is يعني equal 3 more than x, so 3 plus x. What is the value of x? I'll move the x's with each other and the numbers to the other side. I'll have 2x minus x equals 3 plus 9, which means x is now equals to 12. This is the value of x. Type, moving to number 4. 8 less than something, so something minus 8, less than what? 4 times the number c, so that's 4c, is, which means equal, 20. I'll move the 8 first, which means 4c will be equals to 28, and then I'll move the 4, which means c will be equals to 7. Here's when things start to get a bit harder. The word consecutive is a very important word. Consecutive means after each other. يعني when I say consecutive and that's it, consecutive وخلاص, it means, for example, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 103, 104, 105. Consecutive ورا بعض. Now, if I say consecutive odd, on the other hand, that means they're odd numbers ورا بعض. So, for example, 7, 9, 11, these are odd numbers consecutive. Consecutive even would be, on the other hand, for example, 8, 10, 12, 14, and so on. Whenever we need to express consecutive numbers, ما أعرفهمش, I don't know what are those numbers. Then I can say if the first number is x, the one after that would become x plus 1, and the one after that is x plus 2, and the one after that x plus 3, and so on. But if I'm talking about consecutive odd numbers, if the first one is x, the next one is x plus 2, and then the one after that is x plus 4, and then the one after that is x plus 6. Why is this? Because the difference between the 7 and the 9 is 2. I'm adding 2 to reach from 7 to 9. And I add another 2 to reach from 7 to 11. And I add another 2 to reach from 11 to 13, and so on. And the same exact representation goes for even the odd numbers, because الفرق or the difference between the odd numbers is also 2. So if the first one is x, the one after that is x plus 2, and the one after that is x plus 4. How is this applied in this question? They're saying the sum of 4 consecutive odd integers. Because I don't know what are those consecutive odd integers, then I can assume if the first one is x, the second one is x plus 2, the third one is x plus 4, and the fourth one is x plus 6. They said that the sum of all of those is يعني equals 296. So I'll add all of those up, and it should be equals to 296. I now have an equation. I can solve that equation. I can say I have x and x and x and x, that's 4x. I also have 2 plus 4 plus 6, and that's a total of 12, equals to 296. If I'd like to find x, I'll move the 12 to the other side by subtraction. So that's 2, 8, 4. And then I'll divide by 4. So x will be equals to 284 divided by 4. That's 71. Now I know x, which was only the first one of the 4 consecutive integers. They're actually asking for the greatest, and the greatest I know that I've represented it using x plus 6. So if I need to find the greatest number, I'll just say it's 71 plus 6, which means the greatest is the 77. That is the answer. Please ask, عشان خاطر. If there's any, it's too much, صح؟ طيب ask by يعني I mean by ask that no anything you feel confused in. Why did we do this? Where did that come from? Why is this there? Why these are the kinds of questions I'm looking for. You always try to look for things that you like you don't get where did it come from. How did we start the question? That's a very important thing to focus on. How did we continue through the steps and how did we come up with the final answer? Those are the main things we're looking for. So anything that's not clear بجد weird. Right? We'll see. It says now the sum of 3/4 of a number A. So 3/4 mean 3 over 4 of a number A, يعني of A, so 3 over 4A. The sum of 3 over 4A and 24, so it's 3 over 4A plus 24 is يعني negative, sorry, يعني equal -9, that's -9. I'll just solve to find A. I'll move the 24 to the other side. So -9 minus 24, that's -33. And then I can move the 3 over 4 كلها على بعضها to the other side by division, or I can move the 4 first and then the 3. So I can do it in a form where it's -33 divided by 4, and then A will be equals to -33 divided by 4 multiplied by 3. In both cases, A will come up to be -44, which is A. Okay? آخر حاجة number 7. A number G is decreased by 23. So here's G minus 23, decreased يعني minus, and then multiplied by a half. So this whole thing is multiplied by a half. The whole result of G minus 23 is multiplied by half. The result is, so then that's equal 8 more, so something plus 8, twice the number G, so it's 2G. I'll distribute the half on both. I'll have half G minus 23 over 2 equals 2G plus 8. I'll move the 2 to this side and the -2 over 3 to the other side. Half minus 2 will get me -3 over 2G equals 8 plus 23 over 2. On a calculator, 8 plus 23 over 2 would come out as 39 over 2, 19.2. So, and then move this to the other side, so G will be equals with division 39 over 2 divided -3 over 2. On a calculator, that's -13. This is the value of G. Makes sense? طيب. I'll stop here for today just because I don't want you to feel it's too much to go through in one time. But I think you can tell دلوقتي the types of progress we'll go through مع بعض أو يعني how we build up the skill مع بعض. I'm not going to be clear, I'm not going to be doing this every time اللي هو working on specific topics every time. Starting مثلا third or fourth class, we could start right away working on full tests. The reason why I'd like you to get used to working on full tests is because in the actual test, it's never the same concept right after each other. It's always very different topics that to move from 1 to 2 and then to 2 to 3 and so on. So one of the skills that we need to learn and get used to it is to move from one topic to the other easily and quickly. Okay? في أي questions في أي حاجة that you need to ask me about? Good. If we continue, I'll upload everything inshallah for you and we can inshallah meet next time. If you're going to do a WhatsApp group, يعني are you sure خلاص you're going to continue the course? If that's the case, I'll create دلوقتي a Google Classroom and send you the link and so on. So يعني think about it and then let me know. If you're okay with it on the WhatsApp group, just create the WhatsApp group and send me خلاص that will confirm. I'll create a link for a Google Classroom where you will find today's class, the notes of today's class, the video recording, the forms that we've solved in one assignment. Okay? Thank you, ya Habib. I've enjoyed this. See you soon, inshallah. Thank you. See you guys. Bye bye.